Christian Eriksen proudly wearing the Danish captain's armband today. It's crunch time in World Cup Group D for Australia, Denmark and Tunisia. We'll keep you up to date with their game against France. It all comes down to this. France, we know, already through to the knockouts. And Graham Arnold's unfancied Australia, built from a group of players that are more used to representing the likes of St Mirren and Adelaide United than turning out in the greatest tournament in all of football. Well, they'll reach the last 16 for the first time since 2006 if they win. From a packed Federation Square in Melbourne to surf clubs up and down the coast, across the red centres of Perth and Darwin, Australia is listening, watching and hoping. A draw might be enough. A win, remember, guarantees qualification. Denmark know that nothing but victory is good enough for them. And if they win, but Tunisia upset France, it could come down to all sorts of maths. Having disappointed so far across the tournament, is this finally the stage for Christian Eriksen and co at the Qatar World Cup? The two sides are just about ready to go. I'll remind you of the two teams. Ryan in goal for Australia. Degenek, Suter, Rolls and Behish. Leckie, Irvine, Moy and Goodwin, who scored on matchday 1 against France, the four in midfield. The matchday 2 winner against Tunisia, Mitchell Duke, alongside Middlesbrough's Riley McGree up front. Schmeichel is the Danish goalkeeper. They have gone back to a back four today. Rasmus Christensen, Andersen, Andreas Christensen and Mæhle in midfield. Højbjerg, Jensen and Eriksen, the captain, in midfield in front of that back four. And Scott Olsen, Lindstrom and Braithwaite, the three furthest forward. Both sets of players into a huddle ahead of kick-off. For the Australian players in particular, Dean Ashton, this is the biggest game of many of their careers.
Absolutely. And you then look at the experience that's in that Danish side, having got to the semi-finals of the last Euros against England. Big moments, big players for the big occasion. Will that be enough though to get over this young, energetic, dogged Australian team?
Well, we will keep you up to date with all of it as it happens. France against Tunisia is live right now over on TalkSport, but here on TalkSport 2, a straight shootout for a place in the round of 16 at the World Cup, the biggest stage. But which of these two sides will come out on top? Australia against Denmark, and we're off and underway on TalkSport 2. The Danes in possession, playing from right to left in the first half, all in red, and Australia from left to right in those gold shirts with green trim, green shorts and white socks. The ball on the halfway line with Christian Eriksen, square pass to Højbjerg. Martin Braithwaite knocks it back into his own territory, and Andersen who skips forward, and now in the right back position is Rasmus Christensen. We have a lot of live football to come across the day on the network. The finale for Group C at 7 o'clock UK time. As the ball is hooked downfield, Eriksen might be in here. Degenek has to clear the covering defender, the right back for Australia, and then the touch off the chest of Mæhle, and it's an Australia throw. So Group C finale to come later. Poland against Argentina on TalkSport, Saudi Arabia against Mexico on TalkSport 2, and goalless in the very early stages here with myself, Joe Shannon, and the former England striker, Dean Ashton.
Well, I think we can sit in and expect a pattern of play with Denmark looking to keep control. 85% plus pass completion in the last calendar year for Kasper Hjulmand's team. They like to keep possession, they've got good technical players, and Australia, I think, will be happy just to sit back in their own half, soak up some of that Danish possession, and then look to really break with some pace.
Well, the Aussies know that a draw might be enough, but it doesn't guarantee progression. Graham Arnold, the head coach, is saying in the build-up, stressing in the build-up, that his side will not play for a draw. He said, in fact, I've never played for a draw in my life. So Australia going out to win. Denmark, who starts the afternoon with just a single point to their name so far, that goalless draw against Tunisia on matchday 1, they must win to stand a chance of progressing. Ball on the near side of the field, and it's a throw won by Milos Degenek, the third right back to represent Australia at this tournament so far. And Degenek just 10 yards or so shy of the halfway line. The Aussies playing from left to right as we look at it. High throw from Degenek, headed away twice by Andreas Christensen, who has got Denmark's only goal of this tournament up to this point. Opportunity for Riley McGree to shoot, blocked, and it comes out towards Goodwin and steered away in the nick of time by Rasmus Christensen. I think his own player might have inadvertently got in the way of that. 0-0.
Well, that's why he's got a wry smile on his face, Riley McGree, because he strikes it brilliantly. Loose ball just cannons into his path. He just takes it on that left foot of his, turns, takes the strike, and you could just see that Mitchell Duke, hands on his head, he knows he stopped a fierce shot there from McGree.
Riley McGree of Middlesbrough, and now an opportunity for the Danes to break over the halfway line, and charging forward infield from that far side is Andreas Skov Olsen, and he's body checked, and the referee produces the yellow card straight away out of his pockets. It's a free kick to Denmark midway inside Australia territory, and it's Aziz Bahish, the left back, who committed the foul.
Well, yes, they're on a counter-attack, Denmark, and he clearly grabs hold. Bahish grabs hold of Skov Olsen's arm very early on. He's already, the referee Mustafa Horbal has already given a yellow card.
Mustafa Horbal of Algeria, as Skov Olsen and Eriksson stand over this free kick. It's from the far side. Eriksson whips it in high, headed away bravely by Harry Suter, the giant centre half, 6'6", alongside Kai Rolls of Hearts. And now Denmark in possession. Eriksson shuffles it back towards the halfway line. We've had 4 minutes of play on TalkSport 2, and it's Australia 0, Denmark 0. Big ironic cheers from the Aussie fans around the stadium, which holds just over 44,000 as Kasper Schmeichel shacks a clearance straight out of play.
Just going back to that free kick, I don't think Australia want to be giving Denmark too many opportunities from set plays. They're heavily reliant on them, Denmark, because of that lack of quality up front.
Well, Matthew Leckie's given it away. The pass is behind Aaron Moy. It's with Denmark and Braithwaite, right of centre, midway inside the Australian half. Skov Olsen takes over, corner of the penalty area. Rasmus Christensen's across in towards the near post. Matthias Jensen of Brentford had darted into that little bit of space, but the last touch was off the Denmark man, and Australia have a goal kick, but they've got to keep possession far more effectively than they did there.
Yeah, they have, but that's brilliant overlapping from Rasmus Christensen. As soon as that ball went into Skov Olsen's feet, he was off. He's a real powerful runner, the Leeds United right back. And it was a decent ball in. It was just Jensen was in there far too early. He was waiting for it. He was almost in front of it. Needed to time that run a little better.
Forward by Anderson for Denmark over the halfway line. Lovely quick feet in the middle of midfield by Jensen, who then angles the pass straight out of play. Well, the build-up was good. A couple of really neat fleet-footed touches. His first World Cup start. Matthias Jensen, and he knocks it straight out of play, and Australia have a throw-in in their right-back position. Still France 0, Tunisia 0. We'll keep you up to date with that. Remember, Australia know that if they win, they'll definitely go through. A draw might be enough, that if Tunisia fail to beat France. Denmark must win to have an opportunity of reaching the last 16. They'll definitely do that if they win and Tunisia fail to win. And here comes Mæhle for Denmark, left wing position, early cross, and gathered by Ryan inside the 6-yard box. It was a late run from the number 9, Martin Braithwaite, who stretched out a leg, but couldn't quite reach it. Positive start from the Danes here, Dean, 0-0.
Well, they went down the right-hand side with Rasmus Christensen. This time it was Mæhle down the left-hand side looking to overlap, and it's clearly something they've looked at, which is to cross early. That's twice now. It's just been not looked up, just whipped that in, and wasn't very far away, was he, Braithwaite? He was the only one in there, though. Eriksson hadn't got himself into the box.
Another opportunity for Denmark as a reverse ball is played towards Jensen inside the penalty area. This time it's overhit by Andreas Skov Olsen, recalled to the side today, and out of play it goes for a goal kick. It's just gone 6 o'clock local time in the Qatari desert. It's still pretty warm and hot and humid, and Matt Ryan will take a goal kick, the Australia keeper and captain, almost 10 years with the national side. Ironically, plays his club football these days in Denmark at FC Copenhagen, would you believe it? Ryan hammers the ball downfield. But just to go back to your point, Dean, Australia have traditionally struggled to defend crosses under Graham Arnold, and we saw that certainly on match day 1 against the French, didn't we?
Yeah, they really struggled. And it's that organisation. I think Suter coming back in, been out for a long period of time with injury. And you can see in that second game against Tunisia, it's almost like he found his feet, and we saw a better performance from him, a more organised performance. So I'm sure the manager will be hoping that his influence can really rub off on that defence.
Ball is on the far side with Rasmus Christensen in the Danish right-back position, and now Joachim Andersen with the long dark hair back to Kasper Schmeichel. The Danes have had 3 captains across the 3 different group stage games up to this point. Simon Kjær, the skipper who started on match day 1 but hasn't played since, and Schmeichel captained the side in the 2-1 defeat to France. Eriksson today, long ball by Andersen, and it's across the body of Jesper Lindstrom, but the ball is brought to a halt as the free kick is given in favour of Australia on the edge of their own penalty area. Wry smile from Jesper Lindstrom. There was a shove in the back there on Devon.
Yeah, it was too obvious, wasn't it, from Lindstrom, just putting his hands on the back of the defender, and it was just too obvious for the referee to see. But I'm expecting big things of the 2 wide players, Skov Olsen and Lindstrom. You know, they're exciting young players at good club level.
Here is Bahish, far side raiding down the left for Australia, gets the dead ball line, high, deep cross, and he's completely mishit it. He's gone behind and away for a goal kick, and it's still Australia 0, Denmark 0, right here on TalkSport 2.
Well, when they do have the opportunity, which I don't think is going to be a huge amount for Australia, then that quality's got to be better. That was truly awful, that cross, because he didn't really have much pressure on him either. Mahesh, and just scuffing it.
Skov Olsen, a right wing position for Denmark. He's looking to drift infield onto his favoured left foot, heads for the dead ball line, early ball in, cleared away at the near post by Kai Rolls, and further afield by Craig Goodwin, only as far as Eriksson though. Eriksson is 25 yards out, pass angle to the right, and Rasmus Christensen. It's still 0-0 between France and Tunisia as far as we know. Early stages, there's commentary over on TalkSport. Best way to keep up to date with everything is to download the TalkSport app if you haven't already done so, particularly now that we're into the end of the group stages. Skov Olsen crosses low, Lindstrom goes in, what a tackle by Degenek, coming across from right back, saved a certain goal there for Australia and kept the score at 0-0.
Outstanding, absolutely outstanding defending from Degenek, just to read the situation and then slide in.
And now Craig Goodwin, early ball in from the left at the other end towards Mitchell Duke, headed away though by Andersen, and Denmark headed away. Have to say, the way this game has started, I'd be surprised if it finishes 0-0. Jensen over the halfway line, square ball to the right, and Andreas Skov Olsen has kept it in play. I'd have probably cursed it now, haven't I, Dean, but
I know as soon as you said.
Ready for the goalless draw to come. Well, look, we've already seen, haven't we, Denmark in particular looking lively in the early stages, and there might be an opportunity into the penalty area now for Jensen to strike, and the effort is tipped over by Matt Ryan. It was a vicious strike, angle was tight, kept himself on sides of the Brentford man, and Ryan tipped it over the bar. Denmark have a corner, still 0-0.
Lovely flick from Braithwaite into the path of Jensen. You've got to do that when you've got midfielders, 3 of them in there. One of you's got to go beyond the striker. Jensen this time looked up, no support, just smashed it from a tight angle towards the top corner, and a neat save from Ryan.
In very early stages, as it stands, it would be France and Australia going through to the last 16, but a heck of a long way to go. Christian Eriksen, hands on hips, will take the corner in front of several hundred Australian supporters in those golden green shirts. They are all on their feet behind the goal to our left-hand side as we look at it. The referee just comes across, he spotted infringement in the penalty area. Now we're ready for the corner to be taken. Eriksen, 2 arms up into the air, plenty forward for Denmark, who are a threat from set pieces. It's in towards the near post, headed away. by Degenek again, I think. And now it's out of play for a Danish throw just inside opposition territory. But they are seeing a lot of the ball, the Danes.
They are, but from set plays, Eriksson can be very frustrating because we know he's got great quality. We've seen his direct free kicks at times that have been great to watch. So often as well, he hits that first defender with more of a flat delivery rather than getting that looping height to it sometimes. It's just a waste.
Denmark, really the story of their tournament so far. Profligacy in front of goal and in the final third. They have only had actually 2 efforts on target across the whole tournament. The ball is with Braithwaite with his back to goal. Lays it to his right, gentle pass to find Skov Olsen, threads the ball further forward down that far side touchline. What a tackle by Harry Suter, stretching out one of his legs, and they're long legs. He's 6'60", the big defender.
Yeah, I mean he's all action, isn't he, Suter? He'll throw himself into plenty of challenges, and you're right, use them attributes if you've got them. Use them.
Well, you said he was outstanding against Tunisia. Match day 2, an Australian victory. Here is Mæhle for Denmark though, driving toward the edge of the penalty area. Pass infield, Braithwaite takes over. Braithwaite onto Skov Olsen. Skov Olsen right-footed over the top. Now I thought Braithwaite was probably in a better position to shoot from the edge of the box. He played it square to Skov Olsen at an angle and under some pressure from Aziz Bahish. And in the end, the effort harmlessly over the bar. But the warning signs are there already for Australia. Less than 14 minutes in, 0-0.
And I've been really impressed with Braithwaite. He's looked really nice and sharp. His touch has been excellent. Same there, on the back foot, just took it beautifully. You're right, he could have taken the shot. If he really wanted to, he could have swiveled and had that attempt. Instead, he went for the easy pass to Skov Olsen, who's got to do more than that. You know, he's got good skills. He can beat players. Go and do it properly. Don't just half-heartedly go past the player and then swing your weak foot at it.
Australia, remember, only reached the last 16 of a World Cup once. That was 16 years ago in 2006. They were dicing with elimination against Tunisia on match day 2. In fact, defeat in that game would have meant they'd have been knocked out of the World Cup, but as things stand, in pole position to finish second in the group. But the Danes have dominated possession early on, 62% of the ball, and I think the pattern of the game has certainly been set. Denmark, remember, know they have to win, and even that may not definitively guarantee their progression. And Tunisia, I can tell you, have had a goal ruled out for offside against France. It's still 0-0 live over on Talk Sport. I'm sure you've been in a situation, Dean, in your career where you've had to do your bit and then other eyes and ears are on another game happening at a ground somewhere else.
Yes, I mean you wouldn't be too happy. Even though France have got a wonderful squad, you'd still be thinking, come on. But like you said, there's a long way to go yet.
And Australia looking to break up the middle through Mitchell Duke, but it's won back by Andreas Christensen, and Denmark had possession back midway inside their own half the field. A very impressive Andreas Christensen, who was excellent against France, not just for his goal, but he's such a robust, strong centre defender. And now it's with Rasmus Christensen of Leeds United in the right-back position, in front to Højbjerg. Højbjerg allowed to drift forward into the Aussie half. He angles the pass out to the right-hand side. Aussie shirts in gold and green, tracking back, but it's with Skov Olsen, corner of the penalty area. Floodlights on, and the sun has set in Doha in Qatar. Live on the World Cup on Talk Sport 2. Crossing from the far side, the right by Jensen. Big deflection on it. Matt Ryan, I think, had lost his bearings, and in the end it doesn't matter. Lecky's able to chip the ball clear up towards the halfway line.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how often Braithwaite is going to beat Suter and rolls in that back line. He was the only player inside the 18-yard box when that was crossed in, and that's simply not good enough. You know, you need that extra body from midfield. You need Eriksson. If you're not crossing it, get in the box, even if it means taking the defender away. It's so important sometimes to make those second and third man runs.
Free kick carelessly given away by Australia, and Denmark have the ball infield a couple of yards near side left touchline. Lots of Australian flags and banners behind the goal to the left as Eriksson whips in the free kick, floats it high to the far post, and it's headed down and wide by Andreas Christensen. The angle was almost impossible to score from, and in fact the flag was up on that far side anyway.
Yeah, it was, but still, he needs to be heading that back across. Not looking to score from that angle.
Now the ball in the centre circle, bouncing around, and Eriksson will retrieve possession. Kasper Hjulmand, the Danish boss, retaining his confidence going into this game. Emotions are very high in knockout football, or effectively knockout football, he said. And the build-up to what is a straight shootout really between these two sides, but these players are used to the pressure. Semi-finalists at the Euros. Here come Australia though. It's Leckie, right of centre, 30 yards from goal. Might think about a shot, trying to angle it towards Goodwin, and then it ricocheted off Rasmus Christensen, hit Riley McGree, and goes all the way through to Kasper Schmeichel, and the Aussies should probably have made more of that, 0-0.
But that's where they want to be, is looking to have that counter-attack, and they will get players forward as well, Australia. It's not like they'll just play one ball and they'll be Duke and Leckie battling for it. No. They'll make sure McGree will go, Irvine, Goodwin.
A great ball down the Denmark left towards Mæhle, left on into the penalty area, driving into the box. Can he get his cross in? He does! It took a deflection, cleared away by Matt Ryan, and then scrambled away from danger by Riley McGree. Not sure how much he knew about that, the goalkeeper. Got a glove on it, then a boot on it to hook it up the middle of the penalty area, and McGree completes the clearance. But that was a really nervy moment for Australia, as across comes Jackson Irvine to get a tackle in, and it's a throw to Denmark deep inside Australia territory. 19 minutes gone, but the Danes are starting to rack up the half chances.
Yeah, and it's in wide areas, isn't it, where they're getting some joy with the overlapping fullbacks, Christensen and Mæhle, this time on the left hand side, and Ryan almost looked like he did a bit of skill. It was really strange in the way that it hit his left foot and then he scooped it with his right foot away from the goal line.
Denmark looking for Eriksson with a long throw into the box, and Ryan will just let that trickle behind for a goal kick. And he's an Australia legend these days, the captain, you have to say that. Made as many World Cup appearances, if you include today, as any Australia player, past or present. And when it took a deflection off Suter at the near post, you're right, Dean, he kind of knocked it onto his right foot and scooped it away, hooked it away.
Typical though that when there's a deflection so close to you as a goalkeeper. They work incredibly hard on that in training, is the deflections and being able to adjust your body, and he actually did very, very well in the end.
Poland against Argentina and Saudi Arabia against Mexico to come later on the TalkSport network. Both those 7 o'clock kick-offs. It's all to play for in Group C. And our World Cup coverage continues throughout the week. Every single game live, wall-to-wall across the network. As Denmark come forward again with Skov Olsen, right-hand edge of the penalty area, blocked off by Behish. And the referee has signalled corner to Denmark. Boos from the Australian supporters. Behish thought he'd done enough, but certainly the Danes, in terms of territory and possession, having the better of it. Corner's taken short. Eriksson crosses. Andreas Christensen, far post, knocks it back across goal. It's cleared away by Behish again, and this time the referee spotted something, and Australia can breathe a sigh of relief. They have a free kick, 0-0.
Yeah, he spotted Andreas Christensen's hands all over the shoulders of the Australian defender. I think it was Jackson Irvine was coming in. It wasn't a lot, but I think when you plant your hands on top of the defender's shoulders, it always stands out from a referee's point of view. But they just switched off there. Australia allowed that short corner to Eriksson.
Talking of standout, team, Jackson Irvine, outstanding moustache.
Very jealous. Very, very jealous.
Right then, Ryan will take the free kick for Australia. High downfield, up into the early evening sky. A little flick down the right by Leckie. Could come for Riley McGree in the penalty area. Shot early, straight at Kasper Schmeichel. Could see what he was trying to do on the half volley, trying to loop it over the goalkeeper. Didn't get enough height on it, but a warning for Denmark.
Yeah, he's very good in the air, Leckie. Flicked it on to Duke, who did the same, and McGree's been really alert and alive to those knockdown balls, playing in that number 10 role almost, McGree. And just a very decent volley, but in the end was pretty comfortable for Schmeichel. It looked probably better on the eye than it was more threatening.
You're right, Dean. He's played in a slightly more advanced role, hasn't he, Riley McGree? Almost up alongside Mitchell Duke in the last couple of games, and that has helped Australia, who were thumped by France in the end, having taken the lead, going on to lose 4-1 to the holders. There's no shame in that. The Tunisia game was the must-win, and they did that. And as things stand, they will finish second in the group. We're a quarter of a way through the game on TalkSport 2, and it's still Australia 0, Denmark 0. TalkSport 2, your home of the EFL. Championship action returns Saturday lunchtime. Sunderland against Millwall, live at 12:30 with us. Rasmus Christensen has the throw, left with the edge of the 18-yard box, infield to Jensen. Jensen in Denmark red, back to Andersen, and now Andreas Christensen lift for the centre circle, just steps forward and then whips the ball cross-field down towards the right-hand side, well controlled by Skov Olsen. The layoff to Eriksson was behind him. Rasmus Christensen finds Skov Olsen again. Back it goes to Andersen, and Australia have everybody back behind the ball, bar Duke defending. Difficult for the Danes to break through here at Wall of Golden Green. Australia haven't really shown a great deal of ambition in the game so far, other than to play on the counter-attack. Might be a chance for Denmark to cross with Mæhle. Finds Jesper Lindstrom. Back to Mæhle inside the penalty area. Mæhle not beyond Aaron Moy. Made a really important intervention. Mæhle, I thought, was going to cross it earlier than he did. Moy came in to whip it off his toes, just as Denmark looked like they were in. And now here they come again with Mæhle once more, 25 yards out, plays the ball square. Skov Olsen, all left foot, shifts it on to Jensen. Back to Skov Olsen inside the penalty area, and he gets nothing behind the shot. Slipped as he did so from a tight angle, and it's an easy gather for Matt Ryan. But for Graham Arnold and Australia, alarm bells are ringing all the time now.
They are, but you're right, there's so many Australian defensive bodies there that they're having to play some good football, Denmark. Good intricate play, nice one-touch play in the end from Skov Olsen, but you're right, all left foot, looked particularly weak on that right-hand side. Good chance to strike down the right-hand side of the penalty area and didn't get anything on it. Just probably the bottom of his studs rather than any boot whatsoever.
It took Australia such a lot of effort to get here, more than 1,000 days, and they had to travel to 10 different countries because of partly because of COVID restrictions back at home. They had a playoff final against Peru, which went to a penalty shootout to eventually make it here to Qatar. So they have made sure they've made the most of it. And, well, despite Denmark's pressure, it is a familiar story for Kasper Hjulmand, because Matt Ryan has not really had a serious save to make. There was that tip over from Jensen, but that's the kind of stop you'd expect your goalkeeper to make all day, Dee.
Yes, it's frustrating. It must be so frustrating for many Danish fans, because you can see the quality, you can see the technical ability with the players, but there is just something missing.
Forward by Andersen high downfield. It's chested down by Braithwaite, the number 9. The flag is up, assistant spotted. I think a handball by Braithwaite. Either that or he was coming back from an offside position, and it would be a free kick to Australia just shy of halfway. I think he was coming back from an offside position, Braithwaite. I mean, Dean, former number 9 yourself, they need a number 9, don't they, Denmark? They have really lacked a presence in the final third in this tournament so far.
They have. I mean, you look at Braithwaite and you look at his international record. I mean, he's looking at about 1 in
every 6.
Exactly. I think that kind of says it all. 1 in 3, you're sort of thinking, well, that's okay at the top level, but 1 in 6 is really poor. That's more of an attacking midfielders ratio.
Never scored a World Cup goal, Martin Braithwaite. Here is Aaron Moy, formerly of Huddersfield Town in his Premier League days, and now a chance for a cross from Degenek, sweeping out to the left. Goodwin heads it into the penalty area. He was always stretching to even try and reach that. Was Craig Goodwin, and it's nodded down into the gloves of Kasper Schmeichel. 27 minutes gone. Elsewhere in Group D, France 0 and Tunisia 0. Likewise the score here, so it would finish as it stands like this. France would win the group on 7 points. Australia would go into the knockouts in second on 4. Denmark third, Tunisia fourth, both on 2 points. It could all still change. Long way to go. Long ball downfield by Andreas Christensen, and beautifully brought down by Lindstrom, plucking it out of the air. Degenek is at his back, and Degenek took a swing at it, and Lindstrom in the end is penalised, and Australia have themselves a free kick in the right back position. Do they need to show more going forward, Australia?
Not necessarily. It's not up to them to force this game, by no means. They're probably thinking, which is only natural, that France will beat Tunisia, so a point for them would be enough. There's no rush whatsoever, I don't think, to throw bodies forward, and it's not their style anyway.
Kasper Hjulmand, we just saw on our monitor in the commentary box, arms outstretched, the Danish coach. He is a national hero after what he did at Euro 2020, as Duke swings in across from the Australian right. It's blocked off by Højbjerg inside the penalty area. Can the Danes counter? Eriksson, great ball over the halfway line. Lindstrom is going to chase. He's only got rolls between him and the goal. Caught in the penalty area, trying to work the angle. Lindstrom plays it across. It's cleared away somehow at the near post. Now Eriksson in the box. Can he curl one? He drills it low towards the near post in the end. It's gone behind for a goal kick, where there was no great shape to Australia's defending there, but once again they scramble the ball away and do enough, and once again Denmark just lack that clinical touch.
It was excellent though, wasn't it, from Lindstrom on this left hand side, and he gets pass rolls with a decent bit of skill and a little bit of luck, and then when he tries to play it across, that man Degenek is there again. It's not only that he's running back, he's making sure he's running back into the right areas, and he's alert to the cross again. Excellent defending.
Well, you pinpointed Jesper Lindstrom, Dean, and look, we've given a fair bit of criticism to Denmark going forward so far, but Lindstrom, the youngster who has been linked with Arsenal and Borussia Dortmund, has certainly shown that flair and that pace actually that Denmark maybe really needs.
Well, for Frankfurt in European football last season, they missed him actually when he was injured towards the end of that obviously successful campaign. It's been excellent for them. He needs to show more of this for Denmark.
Eriksson from the left wing, infield to Mæhle. Back to Eriksson near side of the field on his left foot, trying to shuffle it onto his right away from Aaron Mooy, and Mooy did well just jockeying Eriksson. Back it goes for Andreas Christensen. It's still goalless at the Al Janoub Stadium, south of Doha city centre here in the Middle East. Little touch by Højbjerg, a really poor touch. Mooy able to intercept. He did well there, Aaron Mooy. Knew that Lindstrom was converging on him. Just flicked it off his ankles and out of play for an Australia throw. Right back position, half an hour gone. So far, so good for Australia. Still 0-0, and that would be enough to get them through, because as it stands, it's goalless in the other game between Tunisia and France, which is on Talk Sport.
Well, he hasn't changed. Mooy from his days. We saw him at Huddersfield,
Brighton as well.
At Brighton, he works incredibly hard. He picks up good defensive positions. He's a good communicator. Gets people around him. And he's a big reason why they're so hard actually to break down Australia.
We haven't got to the knockout stages of the World Cup yet, but needless to say, every game will be live on the network as you'd expect, including England against Senegal in the last 16 on Talk Sport on Sunday. Kick-off at 7. I'll build up from 5. A 2-hour bumper build-up for you. Here come Australia. Riley McGree, left on into the penalty area, finds Duke, touch heavy. Inside the box, Andreas Christensen clears. Australia throw.
A couple of times now they've combined though, isn't it? McGree and Duke beating off each other.
Jackson Irvine from the edge of the D whips it across, and Duke did get a glancing touch on it, but he was miles away from goal, and it's an easy take for Schmeichel. I'm not sure that even really would go down as a meaningful effort on target.
More of a decent back pass, I would say. I'm not sure
You're not going to see many headers go in from what 15 yards, 18 yards out, are you?
Not with that lack of pace as well. No.
Forward by Rasmus Christensen, down the far side of Danish right, away by Kai Roll, straight to a red shirt, it's Højbjerg. Now Rasmus Christensen finding Anderson. Completely different game plan for the Danes tonight. They played 3 at the back against the French, and she held out for long periods in that game, but ultimately lost.
They look better. They look better against the difficult teams to play.
Yeah.
You know, they're really, really well organised defensively, Denmark. And when they can counter-attack themselves and be a threat from set plays, they look better.
Crossfield ball to Mæhle for Denmark, touches heavy, swept clear by Degenek again. Milos Degenek, whose family fled the Kosovan War to Australia in the year 2000, and he has said in the build-up that he wants to repay the country that has given him everything, in his own words. And a massively proud moment this evening for him, not only him though, but everybody in that Australia squad. They pretty much to a man have never had a match quite like this in their careers. Even the likes of Matt Ryan and Aaron Moy haven't really seen anything like potentially the knockout stages of a World Cup. Crossfield ball towards Skov Olsen for Denmark, who miscontrols, out of play. It's a throw. 33 and a half minutes gone, and dare I say it, that Danish threat is not quite as potent looking as it was in the early stages of the game.
No, it's fallen back into what we've seen in this tournament from Denmark, which is a real lack of quality in the major moments, and they get into those good areas. That last pass, that last cross, that last little bit of movement they've really lacked.
Australia just need to keep their concentration, you feel, the way the game is going. Forward by Duke up the middle. That's a great run by Matthew Leckie, but his first touch let him down. He was going to dart through the middle. Across came Joachim Mæhle from the left-back position for Denmark to cover. Otherwise, Australia and Leckie would have been through on goal.
Just a poor touch, wasn't it? Mæhle was on the cover just about and was waiting for a poor touch of what he got. I like that run though, I really, because he knows Mæhle's wanting to go and attack down the left, so he might be out of position, make that run inside him and down the side of Andreas Christensen.
Picked on by Goodwin up the middle, steered up into the air by Anderson, the clearance for Denmark, header cushioned to the right hand side by Suter, who gets it back from Degenek. Suter, the giant defender, long ball high up the middle. Australia 0, Denmark 0, and a foul by Leckie backing into Andreas Christensen. I am sure Australia and Denmark would like just a cushion, just that little bit of reassurance. They'd like a France goal against Tunisia. It is still 0-0, and Tunisia, remember, still in the hunt to qualify themselves as Denmark look to play their way out of defence, a little nervously I have to say. Poor touch infield by Skov Olsen, and Australia win it back with Moy on the halfway line. You wouldn't want to be Graham Arnold or Kasper Hjulmand today. It is a stressful, high-pressure situation, but I suppose that's what they're in the game for, matches like this.
But it would be a big shock if Denmark were to fall out of this competition. I think for a lot of people, they were not dark horses to win it, but certainly to go deep in the competition.
We've had some big shocks, haven't we, Dean? Argentina beaten by Saudi Arabia, Germany losing to Japan. You could say Belgium being beaten by Morocco. You could file that under the shock category as well. And Australia heading for the knockouts as it stands. We haven't yet reached the 37th minute of this game. Still 0-0. It's been pretty cagey. Australia's got it sharp halfway.
It's like quality. That's what it's like. I mean, there's no ambition really from Australia. They're happy to sit and defend, but yeah, it's really lacked quality that you'd expect at this level.
Mitchell Duke, not happy with the referee, came across in front of Mæhle, and I thought initially he'd won the ball with a firm but fair shoulder challenge. Referee thought it was a barge, and it's a free kick to Denmark 10 yards into the Australia half. He was pretty well placed to see it, in fairness, Mustafa Holval, the referee.
Probably just about for me, as Eriksson just throws the ball off. He's not happy with the pressure of that ball. Gets himself a new one.
Hands on hips, Ericsson. It's so great to see him at a major tournament, of course, after everything that happened at the Euros, those deeply troubling scenes. Thankfully, he is fit and well. Swings in the early free kick, Ericsson headed away. Comes out the edge of the box towards Rasmus Christensen, but Sjoek is there to thunder it clear on the volley. And now a header away by Verhish, who somehow got in front of Joachim Andersen, despite being almost a foot smaller. Cleared downfield by Australia. Goodwin will hair after it, but Andreas Christensen is there on the cover. I mean, if they are playing for a draw, Australia, it's a risky game, Dean, because one Tunisia goal would take them into second if they were to score against France. As it stands,
yeah,
anyway.
I don't think they are playing for a draw. I think this is how they play, Australia. When I've seen them,
Counter.
especially against better sides, they're really organised. They sit deep. They make it really difficult and frustrating for you, as they have done so far for Denmark. It's not pretty, is it? They get the ball and they move it forward quickly when they do get it, and then when they lose it, sit back into a solid defensive unit.
Given away by Ericsson. Straight to Degenek. Leckie with the yellow boots on. Darts away from Matthias Jensen. He is 10 yards into Denmark territory. Goes back to Verhish on the halfway line. I was speaking to a couple of Aussie supporters in the build-up, and KG and lacking in clear-cut chances was the prediction, and so far that has proven the case. Not necessarily been nervy from both sides, but both teams really clearly very conscious they don't want to concede the first goal. Here's Riley McGree, charged down Mailer's clearance. He's away down the right-hand side. McGree to cross, headed away by Højbjerg, and that's a real waste of a great position for Australia. Still 0-0.
Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it? He does so well to charge down the clearance from Mailer, and it gets a little bit of luck that it stays in. He gets down that right-hand side, he pulls it back onto his left foot. He's got 3 against 2 in the area, and he hits the first defender. Really, really frustrating.
And here's Scott on the counter-attack for Denmark. Couple of step-overs. Rasmus Christensen tries to play the threaded pass inside right channel, but Jensen wasn't on the same wavelength. It trickles out of play for a goal kick. Remember, Denmark must win to have a chance of reaching the knockouts, and again, I think you can throw that lack of rhythm accusation at them and it would stick.
I think I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because of how pressurised this game is for both sides. But let's be honest, it's been pretty woeful in terms of quality, in terms of the understanding between the forward players for both sides so far. And surely it has to be pressure because they're better players than what they're showing so far in this half, especially Denmark. Been really disappointed again.
Here is Degenek, near side in front of the Danish dugout. Kasper Hjulmand, the Danish head coach, just behind him. Pretty stern look on his face. Degenek throw down the near side, the right, headed away by Mailer. Back to Degenek, forward to the feet of Leckie. Leckie's touch wasn't bad, it was rattled at his shins, but Andreas Christensen there to slide in, win it back to Denmark, only momentarily. And Degenek will just send the ball back all the way down to the feet of Matty Ryan. And the Aussie goalkeeper and captain clears downfield. Being touched infield by McGree. Moy will loft it forward. Goodwin will lay it back towards Duke. Middle of the Denmark half. They're looking dangerous here, Australia. Duke onto his right foot. He shoots! And Kasper Schmeichel makes a save down at his near post.
Decent move from Australia. Nice little knockdown again. They've been very good at that when it goes up to a forward player. They get bodies around the ball, make sure they're picking up that second ball, but Duke gets into that good position, 3 or 4 yards outside the penalty area with not too much pressure on him to shoot. And again, it's really, really poor. I mean, Kasper Schmeichel could have probably just flicked that up to himself and done a couple of keepy-uppies.
Great turn by Ericsson, darting up the middle. He's got Mailer in front of him. No great width here at all for Denmark. It's almost entirely narrow. We're in the 42nd minute. Australia 0, Denmark 0 in a game of very few chances on TalkSport 2, but Lindstrom is away. Lindstrom, terrible cross. Prods it straight into the gloves of Matt Ryan. He did all the hard work, ghosted beyond the Australia back line, inside left channel, inside the penalty area. Lovely burst of pace, but his cross was straight to the goalkeeper.
I think sometimes just having that player on the left-hand side that's right-footed, didn't trust himself to cross it with his left foot, tried the clever outside of the right foot. There's not that many players that can do it, and clearly Lindstrom couldn't in that moment. Maybe just a left-footed cross would have been better.
Scott Olsen has been blocked off by a sliding Jackson Irvine, who used to play football at Burton Albion at one stage. From the Peretti Stadium to the World Cup. Now Rasmus Christensen for Denmark. Pass infield slid away by Behish, but it's come back towards Eriksson, middle of the Australia half. Not a good touch by Lindstrom. Cleared away by Degenek. Held up by Leckie. Midway inside his own half of the field. And he's fouled by Eriksson. And a free kick to Australia. But Denmark again struggling to create what you would call really clear-cut chances. Dean Ashton, former England striker, alongside.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some decent positions that they've got into in the wide areas. The fullbacks have really overlapped well. Skov Olsen and Lindstrom have looked nice and lively and tried to create. Again, I just go back. It needs the composure, it needs good movement, and it needs good finishing, ultimately, to get yourselves ahead. And there's been none of that. Both sides have been really poor in that sense.
Well controlled by Leckie, right-wing position after a long ball downfield by Matt Ryan, and Leckie wins a throw for Australia, level with the edge of the 18-yard box. Less than 90 seconds of normal time to go at the end of the first half. I don't think we'll have too much stoppage time, but of course it's always a possibility at this World Cup. Tunisia 0, France 0 over on Talk Sport. Long throw by Degenek, headed away by Højbjerg for Denmark. Højbjerg's been anonymous really in this first half. Opportunity for Degenek to cross from the near side to right, trying to play it through the legs of Mæhle. Didn't get it right. Mæhle wins it back for Denmark. Lays it infield to Braithwaite. Braithwaite converged upon by two gold Australian shirts. They win it back. Moy trying to squeeze it up the middle. Blocked off by Højbjerg. Moy a little rushed, a little panicked as he knocks it forward. Hooked on by McGree over his shoulder. Headed away by Andreas Christensen. First goal, if it comes, is going to be so important here.
It is. I mean, you can tell the tension with the way that they're just rushing the passes or rushing to flick that ball on rather than taking care with it.
Degenek across again to take the Australian throw. Long high into the penalty area, headed away, comes down towards Leckie, the angle very tight, scoops it up high into the box. Here comes Schmeichel, punches away one-handed, not convincing from the goalkeeper, and Mæhle will eventually scoop it up high and long towards the halfway line. Elected to punch rather than catch Kasper Schmeichel there. It did pay off in the end. 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half on Talk Sport 2. Later, remember, Poland against Argentina, Saudi Arabia against Mexico. Both games live on the network in Group C. Diagonal ball by Eriksson upfield. Skov Olsen trying to bring it down on the far side, the Danish right. Australia want handball. Referee says no. Still 0-0. Duke is tracking back to intercept, and that's a foul without any question at all by Skov Olsen. And the referee from Algeria comes across to give Australia a free kick, and you can hear what the Aussie fans think of all that.
Yeah, well, it was handball initially anyway from Skov Olsen, and then just pure frustration when he was out-muscled and then just scissor tackled Duke from behind. He's lucky to have got a yellow card for that.
And they could meet at the last World Cup, these two. It ended in a 1-1 draw in Samara in Russia in 2018. Nothing to separate them so far. Last 45 seconds of 2 minutes added at the end of the first half. Rasmus Christensen forward to Højbjerg. Blocked off by Jackson Irvine. Now then, can they break the Aussies? Duke, 25 yards from goal. Out to Goodwin. Goodwin to cross. Steered away by Andreas Christensen. Facing his own goal inside the 6-yard box. Australia couldn't quite get the delivery right.
No, but again, it's a turnover of possession for Australia, and they counter-attack well with numbers in the box. We're just yet to see, I think, even one cross yet to really pick out a free player.
Moy, midway inside the Danish half. His ball down the outside left channel will be cleared away by Rasmus Christensen, and that is half-time. The second half underway. Australia playing from right to left, and they have their gold and green shirts on, green shorts and white socks, and Denmark from left to right, all in red. A reminder of the two teams. Ryan is the Australia goalkeeper. Degenek, Suter, Rolls and Behish the defenders, as Kasper Schmeichel clears for Denmark straight out of play. And the Aussie fans love that. Australia win their first corner in front of the travelling thousands. Australia with Moy and Bacchus holding, Leckie, Irvine and McGree in support of Duke. There has been a slight switch to the Australia formation. I'll give the Denmark side in just a second, but can Australia threaten from the corner here? Suter and Rolls both forward from the back. Leckie's lurking in front of the goalkeeper. They've hardly created a single clear-cut chance in the game, but is this their moment? Aaron Moy standing over the ball, right-footed out, swinging, flicked onto the near post, headed away, comes out to the edge of the box. Behish sliced it with his weaker right side. It was actually going well wide of goal. Alexander Barr got in front of it, headed behind it. It's a second Australia corner in quick succession. Early pressure from them, still 0-0 in the second half.
Yeah, flicked to the back post and then headed out to the edge of the box, and Behish just didn't strike it particularly well, did he?
Mitchell Duke is forward as well, having scored the only goal against Tunisia on match day 2. Another corner for Australia. Again, Moy right-footed, out-swinging, hung up high, headed away by Anderson this time. Back out to the corner taker Moy, who's going to let it trickle out of play for an Australia throw. But a very positive start to the second half from Graham Arnold's side, the underdogs. And Degenek will go across to take this long throw.
Well, it all stemmed from that silly mistake from Kasper Schmeichel and Grace Christensen trying to play out from the back.
Degenek's long throw headed away by Højbjerg this time. It's come back towards Moy. Good spell this for Australia. Probably the longest attacking spell they've had in the entire game up to this point. A couple of minutes into the second half. Eventually Eriksson clears it away for Denmark, who have Schmeichel in goal, Barr, Anderson, Andreas Christensen and Mæhle in defence, with Højbjerg, Eriksson and Eriksson in front of them. Skov Olsen and Lindstrom in support of Braithwaite up front. Here's Jackson Irvine for Australia, 30 yards from goal, driving up the middle. McGree to his left. McGree pulls it back to Irvine, who sends it over the top. Great ball into the feet of Jackson Irvine on his weaker left side, and he sent it skywards and sent it over into the front row of Australia supporters. But Australia playing with real verve and confidence early in this second half. Remember, they need a win to guarantee their spot in the knockouts.
Yeah, I mean, they've got themselves a lot higher up the pitch. They're not sat back as deep as they were in the first half. They're looking to try and press a bit more. The Denmark back line, as they know that they like to play out and they like to use Schmeichel in that build-up possession. Can't have a go at the delivery there from McGree. Excellent delivery. Very poor finish though.
A win for Australia would guarantee progression, and a draw as things stand would also be enough. That's because it's still Tunisia 0, France 0. A long way to go in the game, a long way to go in the group, but already, and thankfully I think, Dean Ashton, we're seeing some energy, some invention and a much greater tempo about the game, particularly from Australia.
And why not? Why not have an attempt at trying to get that first goal? It'll make it incredibly difficult then for Denmark to come back from that.
Alexander Barr to take the throw, right back position. The noise you can hear is from the Danish supporters. It's not full, the Aljanub, although it is mostly full. There are pockets of both supporters dotted around the ground. You can spot them instantly. Australian golden shirts and Denmark red. Headed forward by Degenek from the halfway line. The flick by Duke away from his teammate Riley McGree, who was looking to get in behind. Riley McGree, formerly of Birmingham, had a loan spell and now plays his football at Middlesbrough in the Championship. And Joachim Mæhle can't reach a crossfield ball from Joachim Anderson, and Australia have a throw in their right back position on that far side of the field. Glum faces in the Denmark crowd, Dean, and they look a shadow of the side who made it all the way to the Euro semi-finals, just last summer.
And I wish there was some magical thing I could say that meant this will work and this will make them better, because they're good players. I don't think it's that. I don't know what it is. They're just not at the same intensity, I would say, as they were in the Euros. Whether it is something to do with the pre-tournament talks that obviously Denmark have had and their association have had, obviously with the shirts and the crest, and the lack of their support here out in Doha, but they're nowhere near the team that we saw really give England a scare at Wembley.
Well, all of that controversy certainly overshadowed the Danish build-up, didn't it? And I'm not suggesting remotely that it's had an impact on performances, but they have been very flat, and they've looked really disjointed going forward in every game that I've seen them in. They still have plenty of time, and in fact, a Danish goal, as things stand, would take them through into the knockouts. It would leapfrog them above Australia into second place, but it's still 0-0 on TalkSport 2, and it's the Aussies going through with France. Mailer caught on the penalty area, threading it through towards Lindstrom, overhits, cleared away by Harry Souttar, who is going to have to be just as much of a rock as he was on matchday 2 against Tunisia here at the Al Janoub, just south of Doha city centre.
One thing I would say is that Joachim Andersen, I don't think there's many better centre-backs with the delivery that he shows from distance. Absolutely fantastic.
Scott Olsen with his back to goal, juggles the ball and finds Mathias Jensen. Back towards Højbjerg, midway inside the Australia half. A wall of golden shirts in front of Denmark. Australia defending very deep. Jensen wearing number 7. Early ball in towards Scott Olsen, who shoots. It's brilliantly blocked by Rolls. I'll tell you what, that hit him where it really hurts as well. Play goes on. Jensen to the dead ball line. He's going to dig out a cross. Headed away by Degenek this time. Swept further clear by Duke. That looked like a foul on Duke by Anderson. Referee says play on. The Aussies trying to counter-attack. Bahish is going to slide in with VAR. Ball out of play. Throw to Australia. That was the bravest of brave blocks from Kai Rolls.
Certainly was. Scott Olsen turned in the box and just hits it right into the solar plexus of Kai Rolls. A Chisora style dig just under the ribs, and naturally that is going to take the wind out of you, bless him.
Well, he's okay. A seamless transition actually, Dean. We have live boxing commentary, Fury against Chisora, this Saturday, live and exclusive, because you know, on TalkSport.
I did actually.
You've teed me up there nicely.
I did.
Our producer is delighted, working in tandem. So that's this Saturday on TalkSport. We've got you covered for just about everything. Remember, England-Senegal on Sunday, 7 o'clock in the last 16. But still to come tonight, Group C, Poland-Argentina, Saudi Arabia-Mexico. It's all to play for there as well. Tunisia 0, France 0, elsewhere in this group, and still goalless between Australia and Denmark, as Australia give it away. Højbjerg sweeping the pass immediately to the left, and Lindstrom controls it neatly onto his right side, almost found a gap to shoot. Jackson Irvine there to hack it away to the halfway line.
Should know by now though, if you cut inside against this Australian side, there's no room. There'll be another player in yellow. They've been superb at that. They just shuffle across, and as soon as you come inside, they just look to press you straight away. I mean, it's excellent defending. It's frustrating if you're an attacker.
Ball played back by Anderson to Schmeichel. You mentioned Joachim Andersen rightly, Dean. His distribution among centre-halves has to be some of the best in Europe.
I mean, the diagonals that he could play, we've seen it in the Premier League when he hits Zaha or Eze on that left-hand side, or Mitchell. He's brilliant at it. It's the same in this Danish side. He gets his head up and he hits a real raking pass with pace and a nice flat trajectory to get there nice and quickly. It's a real asset to have.
And that round clears long the Australia goalkeeper, and Joachim Mæhle was fouled. On the far side, the Danish left by the right winger Matthew Leckie, playing in his third World Cup squad. Well, Australia fans watching on nervously. Some of them praying, some of them can barely watch. Just 10 minutes into the second half. Australia 0, Denmark 0. Australia are going to be okay and go through in second as it stands. In fact, the table as it stands is exactly as it was pre-kickoff. France top, Australia second. Denmark and Tunisia would both go out in third and fourth respectively. Denmark have to win, definitely, to have any chance. Irvine over the halfway line for Australia. Leftwood made a run to the right. Irvine didn't see him. One back by Barr. Denmark counter. Crossfield by Jensen. Came off Lindstrom. Might fall for Braithwaite. Too slow to react on the edge of the D. And Australia clear. And Leckie almost played it beyond Christensen. Christensen, the number 6, stood firm and tall. It's out of play, Australia throw. Denmark reading a double change. Mikkel Damsgaard and Kasper Dolberg.
I'm surprised. Is there something wrong with Poulsen? Is he carrying an injury? I'm not quite sure how he's not really been given a decent run when Dolberg, for me, hasn't impressed at all when he's played.
The only thing I can think of to play devil's advocate, Yusuf Poulsen hasn't scored since World Cup qualifying in a Denmark shirt. He's not had a great deal of game time for his club, but I totally get you, Dean, because they look so impotent going forward at times, Denmark, and they don't have a focal point, or they haven't had a focal point across this World Cup that has looked remotely convincing.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who he brings off.
Yeah.
Will it be like for like? Will it be Braithwaite coming off, or will he go with 2 up there?
We'll find out very shortly. There's that diagonal ball from Anderson, beautifully swept to the left, and Lindstrom. Touch wasn't great. He does keep it in by the corner flag, and he darts beyond Behish, had his shirt tugged. That's a foul. That'll be a yellow card. Danish free kick. Denmark playing from left to right, and a free kick in front of their own supporters. In fact, it's Degenek rather. And Degenek who holds down Lindstrom, and Degenek it is who is deservedly booked.
Brilliant move from Lindstrom. Looks like the ball's going to go out for a goal kick, and he just puts the brakes on and flicks the ball down the line, jinks inside Degenek with a clear pullback.
There is a free kick here coming up for Denmark. And as Denmark prepared to make a double change, bad news for supporters of both these sides. Tunisia lead France by a 0-0. Live on Talk Sport right now. Kazri has got the goal. Tunisia, as things stand, will go from bottom of the group to second, and they will go through with France. So Australia and Denmark both heading out. Danish free kick, far side of the field, 0-0 here. Eriksson floats it in. It's over the crossbar and behind. So Australia and Denmark both heading out. Both must win as things stand.
Well, that certainly does change things, and I'm pretty sure that the coaching staff would make sure the players know about what is happening as we see the changes, and that's a surprise to me.
It's Jensen and Braithwaite off, and here come Kasper Dolberg and Mikkel Damsgaard, and time running out potentially for both these nations as we tick towards the hour mark. Of course, a France comeback is always possible, but they cannot rely on that. And Denmark and Australia are both in deep trouble here. With the score still 0-0. And they both, I mean, Denmark knew they had to win anyway, but Australia must win themselves. Here is Barr down the near side, the right. Now it really is a straight shootout. Barr into the penalty area for Australia. Blocked off by Behish. Now, of course, Graham Arnold and Kasper Hjulmand will both know what's going on. No question at all. And now they've got to change their approach, Australia in particular.
Well,
I'm
amazed. I'm amazed he hasn't gone with 2 up there. All that's happened is that Damsgaard has gone into the 10 role, played in neatly.
Damsgaard back to the penalty area. Højbjerg finds Dolberg back to goal, and he's gone down, but nothing's given, and rightly so. Australia clear. Here come Australia on the counter-attack. McGree over the halfway line. Leckie could be clear on goal. He's dancing into the penalty area, twisting, shooting, and scoring! Matthew Leckie with a monumental goal for Australia. They will celebrate it from Perth to Sydney, Brisbane to Melbourne. What a moment for Australian football, and for Matthew Leckie, all by himself on this merry run. Australia lead Denmark by a goal to nil, and Australia, as things stand, are indeed heading through to the knockout stages of the World Cup. What a moment, what a goal. Australia 1, Denmark 0.
Well, Denmark gave the ball away, and it was Dolberg who dillied and dallied on the edge of his own box, and then just three passes before Leckie. Brilliant play from Leckie. He twists one way, he turns the other way, Myler inside out, and then coolly just slots it between Myler's legs. Schmeichel absolutely no chance into the corner. That's what Australia do. They counter-attack and they score.
Oh, they've gone wild in the stands, Dean. It seemed to take an age to roll past Schmeichel into the bottom corner, but it's squeezed beyond his dive. So here's the table. France will win the group on goal difference. Australia will finish second on 6 points. Tunisia, despite leading France, would go out on 4 points, and Denmark would finish bottom with just a single point. So much still to come, you feel, in the next half an hour or so. But it's Matthew Leckie. That's his first ever World Cup goal. It's the most important goal he's ever scored in his life. 1-0 Australia.
Well, I've been critical of the quality in this game, but fair play, Matthew Leckie. He was so calm, he almost knew how to deal with that situation. Just chopped in towards the right hand side and then pulled it back onto his left foot and just calmly looked to slot it into the corner. You're right, there wasn't that much pace on it, but when it's as accurate as that, makes it very difficult for any goalkeeper. And now they'll probably really sit back and make this difficult for Denmark.
Denmark looking pretty shambolic across the group stages, and now they really have to respond. I've just seen a replay of the Leckie goal on our monitor, Dean. How cleanly did he actually catch it in the end, do you think?
Not massively, but it was very accurate. And how often do we see it when a defender goes to block and it goes through the defender's legs and it makes it difficult for the goalkeeper?
And now Australia are looking for more. It's Jackson Irvine on the corner of the penalty area. Leckie far post to try and reach the cross. It's just overhit and it's out of play. It's a goal kick to Denmark, but Australian joy here at the World Cup in Qatar. They lead by a goal to nil against Denmark, and Australia are going through, and Denmark are finishing bottom. Kasper Hjulmand looks concerned. Long ball downfield for them. It's going to evade Lindstrom and go through to Matt Ryan. And, well, you have to feel for Tunisia as well. Ewabi Kazri, formerly of Sunderland, has them in front against France, but that will not be enough for them because Australia lead.
I'm sure the players wouldn't have heard that in that short amount of time. But what position to be in now for Australia? Can they hold on? Can they still be a threat on the counter-attack? Because Denmark are going to have to go for it.
Well, Australia know a win guarantees it. No doubt. Doesn't matter what Tunisia do. Denmark have it all to do with well under half an hour to go at this point. In the 64th minute, forward by Højbjerg, inside right channel, well controlled by Damsgaard, and now he finds Skovholsen inside the penalty area, tries a low cross, blocked by Kai Rolls. Denmark have their third corner of the game. It's going to be a real nail-biter for Australian supporters. Live here on TalkSport 2, right through until the very end.
Well, if they are going to get back into this game, then the set plays could be crucial for Denmark. It could be their best route to goal.
It will be Christian Eriksen Right-footed, floated high on the outswinger. Andreas Christensen was up there, it's flicked away. What a bit of defending by Jackson Irvine, because Christensen seemed like initially he got in front of him, and then somehow Irvine was there, Dean.
Yeah, I think Suter as well was just in there, marshalling that back post as well, helping out Irvine. And they have naturally gone really, really deep now, Australia.
Well, this is why we love the World Cup. We've got a real story brewing here. I don't think anybody would have expected Australia to get out of this group coming into the tournament, and they may yet fail to do so, but 20 minutes into the second half, they're heading for second place. And Graham Arnold, the coach, now he was at one stage in danger of being sacked during qualifying, but Australia managed to get through to the World Cup via a playoff final and a penalty shootout win. It was a fairy tale trip here, and it's continuing at the finals. And Skov Olsen clears for Denmark downfield. Now it's with backless for Australia. On to Duke. Back to the halfway line and steered forward by Rolls. The near side, little flick by Matthew Leckie. Was he brought down? He was. Referee though says no free kick. Last touch off bar nonetheless. Can see a shot of Aussie legend Tim Cahill, who works very closely with the senior side, watching on in the crowd. Many an important World Cup goal he has scored, Dean.
I remember that beautiful volley he scored in off the crossbar.
Yes, he has scored some of Australia's most meaningful goals in his time. Matthew Leckie, if it could win this game for Australia, that will be up there.
Absolutely.
There's still a lot of work to do. I wonder, Dean, if they'd had time to realise that Tunisia were 1-0 up. They may not ever find out the answer.
Also, I don't think they're that good, but they could just know that and then think, yep, we'll score now.
I think you're probably right. I think that's probably fair. Here's Behish, near side left channel, in between two red shirts, into the penalty area. What a run from Behish, he's into the box. It's blocked off by Højbjerg. Last touch off Behish. He weaved past 3-4 in red. Denmark nowhere to be seen. And, well, the angle was almost impossible, and it's gone behind for a goal kick.
Well, where has that been from Behish? He hasn't shown anything like the sort of dribbling ability that he showed there. Brilliant bit of skill. Defenders couldn't touch him once he got into the box, and then he gets down to that really tight angle. I mean, there wasn't a lot of support. Once you've done all that work, that could possibly go down as a World Cup great goal. Just have a go. Try and curl that into the far corner if you can, or between the goalkeeper's legs.
Still Tunisia 1, France 0. Over on TalkSport. Make sure you've got the TalkSport app. You can swipe between our two commentaries at your leisure whenever you need to, and today is one of those days. The Group C finale to come later on, including Poland against Argentina. Australia lead 1-0, but here come Denmark. Skov Olsen deflected off Harry Suter from just inside the penalty area, goes behind for a Denmark corner. Denmark trail on a day they have to win.
A little rush. That's twice now he's been able to receive that pass from the fullback into his feet in the box, be able to turn onto his favoured left foot. He just seemed to rush it slightly, and I think it was going wide anyway, but Suter wasn't to know. Stuck out a big right boot, sent it behind.
Christian Eriksen is standing over the ball. It's a far side corner as we look at it, right-footed, in-swinging delivery. Joachim Andersen's free at the far post, but he knocks it way over the bar. He was under pressure from Bacchus, but surely wanted to head that back across goal.
Yeah, they've tried that a few times, that deep corner to the back post and looking to head it back across, but it's been dealt with by Australia. They put enough pressure on the header to make sure that that was headed behind.
Skov Olsen's gone off, and Robert Skov is onto the field for Denmark, as is Andreas Cornelius, the much maligned Andreas Cornelius, because of some of his performances in this tournament so far. A golden opportunity missed on match day 1 against Tunisia, and a less than convincing display against France last time out. So Cornelius and Skov on for Naylor and Skov Olsen. And here is Bar in the right back position for Denmark. France will win the group, Australia will finish second, Tunisia third, and Denmark fourth as it stands. If you're just joining us on TalkSport 2 with 25 minutes gone in the second half of this game, so 20 minutes to go, plus a lot of stoppage time, I'm sure.
Well, I just wonder whether it'll be more of a two up top for Denmark, more of a 4-4-2 for Denmark now, with Damsgaard can go more out to the right hand side with Lindstrom on the left, Eriksson and Højbjerg in the middle, and then the two forwards, Dolberg and Cornelius at the top end of the pitch.
Skov is playing as the most attacking left wing back you'll ever see. Eriksson's cross, and now then down goes Dolberg, penalty! Oh no, the referee, arm up into the air, word from Jackson Irvine, the flag is up on the near side touchline from the assistant referee, and he's flagged for offside here, it looks like, against Dolberg. Eriksson's cross, Dolberg just off. My, Australia got lucky.
Oh, Harry Suter, he'll be so relieved, because he does put the arm across Dolberg once he gets in front of him. Would have, I'm sure, been reviewed and still given as a penalty. Just offside.
Well, he gave the penalty initially, didn't he, the referee, and then he looked to his assistant whose flag was up. And so, it is a free kick to Australia. And the margins are so fine that had Denmark had a penalty, if they scored it, to make it 1-1, and Tunisia would be back in the driving seat, still leading France 1-0, and they'd be back into second place. The French made a lot of changes today, 9 changes from Didier Deschamps, and they're already through. Ball is hammered out of play by Harry Suter. Graham Arnold turns back towards his bench. Could only imagine the thoughts and emotions of Graham Arnold at the moment. I probably can't actually verbalise them, Dean. Certainly not on the radio. Forward by Anderson, crossfield by the Denmark centre-half. Well controlled by Robert Skov, who hooks it over his shoulder and away from the goal scorer, Matthew Leckie. Australia 1, Denmark 0. Eriksson, 10 yards into opposition territory, back to the halfway line, and Højbjerg. Anderson takes over again, the number 2. Angles the ball to the near side, the right. Alexander Barr, infield with the pass, and trapped by the feet of Mikkel Damsgaard. Back he goes to Anderson again. Well, it really is set up to be a nervy remaining 17 and a half minutes plus stoppage time. Skov on the left-hand side for Denmark. Skov whips in the cross. Cornelius heads it miles wide. And I think there was a shove in the back of the defender anyway.
Yeah, but they're moving it quicker, aren't they, Denmark? I don't know why it's taken this long for it to happen. But Eriksson with the ball out wide to Skov, who just clips the ball in towards the penalty spot. Cornelius just shoves, rolls to the floor, hence the free kick. It didn't matter anyway because his header was terrible.
Change for Australia, and Riley McGree going off, and it's Bailey Wright, the Sunderland central defender, who is going to come onto the field. This is his World Cup debut. He was a part of a previous World Cup squad back in 2014 when Australia finished bottom of the group. Right onto the field, and I think he's just sent 3 in the back there for Australia now.
Yeah, the 3 fingers gave it away, Joe.
You are correct, Dean Ashton. There's no getting away from it.
This is just going to be, it's going to be an onslaught.
All hands to the pump, isn't it, for Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. And you wouldn't, I certainly wouldn't say, I really think Denmark are going to be able to break them down. They've not shown enough yet.
Here is Anderson over the halfway line. Long ball from Anderson. There'll be plenty of those still to come. It's chipped downfield. Deganek will clear. Right, as we expected, slotted straight into that. Well, it's a back 5, isn't it, really now?
Yeah.
And he's to the right of the 3 centre halves.
Yeah, there's no wing backs in this side. It's 2 full backs alongside 3 centre backs. It is a real flat 5.
60% of the ball Denmark have had in the game. Australia got their counter. They took their chance. They lead 1-0. Still Tunisia 1, France 0 on TalkSport. France and Australia will be the top two in the group. Bacchus has teased out a foul on the far side of the Australia right, and a yellow card for Robert Skov of Denmark.
We're starting to hear the Australian fans, aren't we? I think they're getting a sense now that it could really happen.
Belief is starting to grow. Aaron Moy standing over the ball, far side the right. They haven't sent too many forward here, Australia, but a second goal would be lovely for them. Swung in by Aaron Moy, headed away by Mikkel Damsgaard for Denmark, and Australia have it back now in the centre circle. Less than 15 minutes to go. Pumped downfield by Bailey Wright, out towards the far side. Bacchus is onside, he's controlled down by the corner flag. Only Mitchell Duke in the middle. Aaron Moy's cross all the way towards the far post. Anderson heads it clear. Now Leckie, 5 yards to the edge of the penalty area. Leckie initially went towards the near side of the left, he checks back now. Behish will take over, the fullback. Infield to Leckie, blocked off by Anderson. Couple of tired legs, maybe a couple of tired minds in this Australia side. They've still got just under a quarter of an hour to see this one out, and it is such a slender advantage. Remember, if Australia were to concede here, they would drop out of the top two, and Tunisia would take their place. That is how much of a knife edge this game and Australia's place in the knockouts is on at the moment. Crossfield by Eriksson towards the right. Alexander Barr brings it down, gets it back and shoots, and then Dolberg with a flick, a back heel as the ball ricochets towards him inside the penalty area. Tried a scorpion kick almost, but it had nothing behind it, and it's through to the goalkeeper, Matt Ryan.
Well, I mean, he was alive to the situation, Dolberg, as that deflected shot from Barr came into his path, but that would have probably been slightly out of character for Dolberg to produce such a wonderful bit of skill to flick that over the back of his head with his heel.
Here is Matthew Leckie, blocked off by Alexander Barr. It will be a throw in the left wing position for Australia. Oh, it looks really tense in the stands. We're getting close-ups of Australia supporters on our monitor in the commentary position, and arms folded, and very nervy looks on faces. Australia 1, Denmark 0 the score. The Aussies are heading through, and Denmark are crashing out. They'd be bottom of the group with just a single point. Steered down the left by Jackson Irvine. He'll be kept in by Matthew Leckie. Judge should have been onside. Into the penalty area now, held up by Højbjerg. Plays it back to Jackson Irvine. Little flick to Behish. Driving into the box. Not though beyond VAR. And now Denmark can break. Højbjerg back to Eriksson. Eriksson out to the near side, and VAR again. Eriksson is midway inside his own half. Puts it back from VAR. That was a dreadful challenge from Duke. The referee waves play on, and Denmark get the advantage. Eriksson whips it towards the left crossfield. Scott controls it well. Degenek stands tall. Degenek blocks him off. Back he goes to Bailey Wright, and Australia will clear. Here's the former England striker Dean Ashton.
He's been good, hasn't he, Degenek? He's just been in the right place so often. He's been aggressive in his defensive nature, and I'm just not seeing the urgency from Denmark.
Long from Anderson. They've got only a few minutes, 12 to be exact, plus stoppage time, to save their World Cup campaign. And as things stand, as my maths makes it, Denmark would, well, they'd certainly need to score twice anyway. They certainly need to win this game, and they're a goal down. Barr's delivery is really poor. Overhit towards the back post. Scott won't keep it in. Something just not right about this Denmark side, Dean. I mean, look, there were Euros semi-finalists 18 months ago, and not happening at this World Cup.
No, it really isn't. And like I said about the urgency, you know, they need 2 goals. It's not even as if they're chasing to go and get the ball when it's gone out of play. Make sure that things are speeded up with the referee. It's unusual to see.
Denmark, if they were to score twice, would mean that they had a goal difference of 0, the same as Tunisia, but Denmark would have scored 3 goals to Tunisia's 1, and so the Danes would qualify in second. So they know that if they get the win, Dean, then they'll do it, but they don't look even like getting an equaliser at the moment. The Aussies lead 1-0. France are going to finish top. Australia second as it stands. Tunisia third, and Denmark fourth. Doesn't seem to be a great deal of belief or really energy and intensity in this Denmark side. Christensen is just sloping back to get the ball.
Or ideas. No real plan as to, how are we going to get back into this? Oh, wow. As Anderson just looks to play it back to his centre-back partner, Christensen, and literally just kicks it out of play.
Well, that sums up, so far, a very troubling group campaign for Denmark. Australia are going to bring on Jamie McLaren of Melbourne City, the number 9, in just a moment. He has a decent scoring record, but isn't first choice anymore. Former Blackburn Rovers striker, though he didn't make a senior appearance at Ewood Park. Denmark have it back deep inside their own half. It's Christian Eriksen out to Scott, chips it back bizarrely onto the chest of Christensen, who had to stretch to meet it. Now Højbjerg trying to inject some pace into this Denmark team. Barr strides over the halfway line. Decent run from him. Leckie tracking back for Australia. Now the ball is with Højbjerg. Steers it infield to the centre circle and Eriksen. Remember, Australia can't afford to concede the way this game is set, because Tunisia is still leading against France. The ball is with Dolberg, lays it back to the edge of the penalty area, shot driven in by Lindstrom, and it's blocked by Sousa this time. And then for a Denmark equalise would mean Australia concede second place to Tunisia. Moy forward towards Jackson Irvine, midway inside his own half, and Leckie can't control. They're looking tired, these Aussie players now.
Well, they've put in a monumental effort so far. And again, when that ball was on the edge of the box from the Danes about to be struck, 3 or 4 Australian defenders come flying out. Suter it was with the blockers. Mitchell Duke, whose top is absolutely drenched with the work he's done.
It's very humid out here in Qatar. Ball is on the edge of the Australian penalty area. Cornelius was trying to reach it, headed away. Drops down to Eriksen, flicks it forward again. Eriksen's header, cleared away by Suter. Big deflection as the ball spirals into the Australia box off the back of one of the Denmark players, but Matt Ryan is there to claim, and the chance is gone for now. We have 6.5 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Australia 1, Denmark 0. The Denmark goal would not really help them in terms of sending them through. Denmark must win. A Denmark equaliser would put Tunisia second, but as it stands, Australia going through with France. It's that time in the World Cup where permutations are plenty, and more to come later. Poland against Argentina on Talk Sporting Group C, Saudi Arabia against Mexico here on 2, and it's all to play for in that group as well. Behish for Australia, 10 yards from the corner of the penalty area with a throw that is a foul throw. In fact, now I think the referee's given a free kick to Denmark for a foul by McLaren on Anderson, and Denmark have the free kick. Now can they get the ball forward, and can they carve out a clear goal-scoring opportunity? Apart from the goal against France on match day 2 and a chance for Cornelius against Tunisia on the opening game, they have hardly created anything.
No, and they've only had 3 attempts on the target in this game as well. It's not enough. It's not enough for a side that's shown in the last year or so. They've beaten France twice. They've been difficult for teams to beat, but there's something not right with this Danish team. I'm sure we might find out more after the tournament as to why, if they were to crash out, which it would be a crash out for a team with the qualities of Denmark.
Well, they're a very close-knit squad, Denmark, and actually most of the squad was at Euro 2020 where they all came together so impressively after the incident with Christian Eriksen. Kasper Hjulmand led that team that year and has led them this year, so on the face of it not much has changed, but they just haven't clicked. And Australia are now 5.5 minutes plus stoppage time away from the last 16 in a World Cup. For only the second time in their entire history. The last time they did it was in 2006. Anderson for Denmark, deep inside his own half. High, long ball downfield. Towering header away by Suter. Now Bacchus driving towards the edge of the penalty area, shooting, and he's blocked by Christensen. And it'll be a throw to Australia down by the corner flag in front of their supporters.
I mean, they'll have the odd chance to keep getting forward and maybe get that second goal. Bacchus didn't do enough there. Should have really gone at Christensen 1v1. He shifted it and tried to shoot. Didn't give himself enough of an angle to get it past Christensen, who blocked the shot.
They've got a throw, far side. Degenek hoists it in long, headed away by Højbjerg. How far either of these two sides would get in the last 16 in the knockouts is definitely debatable, but Australia will really milk it and love the moment if they can do it, and that would be absolutely right. And still Tunisia 1, France 0. So Australia know they need to keep this lead. They need to keep this winning advantage. Here is Højbjerg. If Australia were to concede now, they would go out. It's with Anderson on the halfway line, onto Christian Eriksen, the captain. Steers it wide to Alexander Barr. Just 10 yards inside the Australia half. Anderson pings it long on the diagonal up towards Cornelius, who won the header. Back towards Christian Eriksen. Aaron Moy stabs it away. It'll fall for Damsgaard on the far side of the left. Back it goes to Christensen. Kasper Hjulmand has sent on just about every attacker he can possibly muster, but it might not be enough for Denmark. We have 3.5 minutes left now of normal time at the end of the game. Denmark a goal down. The ball is with Skov. Skov whips in the cross, headed away by Suter through a crowd. A warrior-like performance from Harry Suter.
Yeah, another really good performance from him. I mean, obviously he's got that height, but he reads the game well, and there he is again with another header.
Now it's with Cornelius with his back to goal for Denmark on the right wing position. He's trying to turn away from Behish. He's found Barr. Barr wasn't able to cross. Cornelius can do. Headed away by Aaron Moy this time. Up to the midway points of Australian territory. It is attack v defence. Denmark now pushing desperately. They need 2 goals. It might all be all over for them. But Australia need to hang on to their lead as it stands, because Tunisia are still in front against France in the other game. Lindstrom playing in Dolberg in the box. What a tackle! Barr shoots, it goes wide. Harry Suter there again, leading by example at the heart of the Australian defence. He missed a year with an ACL injury coming into this tournament, and he has excelled again tonight.
Go, gadget legs from Harry Suter, honestly. Brilliant again. Just spots it from behind a crowd of players, comes running across, sliding in, makes a brilliantly timed challenge, and then Barr with a wild shot up and over the top, but again brilliant defending from Harry Suter.
The goal scorer Matthew Leckie goes off. Aydin Hrustic is on in his place. Just seeing a replay of that Matthew Leckie goal that might well be played again and again and again in Australian households around the country tonight. Live on TalkSport 2 here. Australia have got 90 seconds plus stoppage time to survive. Can they hold on? I don't think I'm being too forward here, Dean Ashton, in saying I think they probably deserve to hold on.
I think defensively they've been excellent, and also Denmark have done nowhere near enough to qualify in my eyes, but still,
well, even
their one last blow.
It would be a huge blow for Australia. It would probably be the end of their hopes if they were to concede now. Denmark need 2. They haven't even got 1. Højbjerg midway inside the Australia half. Last minute of normal time. Barr level the edge of the penalty area. Anderson to hoist in a high, deep cross. Was that a foul by Damsgaard? It was on Degenek. Australia free kick. 1-0 they lead.
And there's some key points when you're trying to get a goal towards the end of the game. One certainly is don't give the ball away. The second is don't give silly fouls away to allow the opposition to waste time. And that was one of those. Damsgaard just leans into Degenek.
The Denmark fans sitting down in their seats, some of them standing arms folded, look very glum indeed. We are into added time at the end of the game. Australia lead by a goal to nil, headed away by Kyrol, just waiting for the fourth official to confirm that added time. As the throw is taken by VAR. Now, I think I heard 6 minutes there, Dean. Long ball downfield, flick further clear by Jackson Irvine. Bacchus pokes it forward now towards Jamie McLaren, the sub. McLaren can finish it here, plays it back towards Bacchus, and it's intercepted by Christensen and cleared. Yes, there will be 6 added minutes. We're 30 seconds into that. Australia very nearly grabbing the second goal that would have sealed their passage through. Tunisia are doing all they can, leading against France, but it's not going to be enough for them because Australia are beating Denmark. The ball, though, is with Denmark. Dolberg in the centre circle. Out to the near side now in Lindstrom. Cornelius is through the middle. Lindstrom crosses, aimed at Cornelius, headed away by Suter, drops down to Skov, caught in the penalty area, shoots low, almost fell for Eriksson, he missed his kick, or rather his touch was too heavy, and it's scrambled away by Australia, just.
Yeah, that's a chance for Christian Eriksson. The touch was really poor. If he'd taken a good touch there, he's getting that strike away from probably 8 yards out, unmarked.
Crossed by Skov, pinged in, headed away by Bailey Wright. We're a minute and a half through the 6 added. Bar's delivery, poor. Nodded clear by Jackson Irvine, first man at the near post. Australia so close to equalling the achievement of the team from 2006 and reaching the last 16 at a World Cup. Away by Behish this time, making no pretence at all here, Australia. They are defending deep, and they are defending as firm and with the passion and the verve that you'd expect. Denmark still coming forward. They need to score 2 in the space of 4 minutes. Finally, there's a bit of urgency, but it's going to surely be too late. Alexander Barr to deliver. Thumping header away by Harry Suter again. You hardly need me to tell you. It's TalkSport 2 at the World Cup. It's bouncing around in the centre circle, and Anderson has to send it all the way back to Kasper Schmeichel. The Danes are going to finish bottom as it stands. France are going to finish top, and Australia second. Harry Suter for the umpteenth time, rising highs majestically. And Bacchus has just knocked it forward from halfway straight back to Schmeichel.
Harry Suter, honestly, he's won every single header, but you should know that if you're the Danish players. Don't hit it towards him, he's going to win it.
Long from Schmeichel again, upfield. It's high towards Cornelius. He nods it backwards towards Skov. Skov with the white boots on. We are nearly 3 through the 6 added at the end of the game. This is desperately nerve-wracking for Australian supporters. Skov on the far side, low cross deflected behind. It will be a Denmark corner, Dean Ashton.
Well, can Eriksson get the delivery right, and can it be attacked with the urgency that it needs?
Well, the Tunisian supporters begging Denmark to score as much as anybody else here. The Australian fans cannot bear to watch, and Kasper Schmeichel is forward. Remember, a Denmark equaliser isn't good enough for Denmark. They've got to win. And as things stand, so too do Australia, who are leading by a goal to nil. Christian Eriksson whips in the corner. There's Matty Ryan to claim. And he goes down on the edge of his 6-yard box. 2.5 minutes more for Australia.
But I said the delivery needed to be good, and it was really poor from Christian Eriksson. It was too high, it was too floaty. It begged to be plucked from the sky from Ryan, and he did so, and then falls on his belly to waste some more time.
The ball is bouncing back towards the Australian goal. Hooks over his shoulder and cleared by Degenek. 2 minutes left now. Skov on the far side, the left. Cross takes a big deflection. These seconds must feel like hours for Australia fans. Cross towards Dolberg. Saved by Ryan at the near post and booted, thumped away into the night sky by Aaron Moy.
Well, I wonder if they know. I wonder if they know how important a goal would be for Denmark right now.
Well, I can tell you, it would send them out of the World Cup. They've got to hold on to this lead. Flicked into the penalty area. Scott chasing. Oh, Deganek, he nearly scored no goal. It came off his boots. Ryan didn't know whether to pick it up or kick it. And in the end, at the last minute, he knocks it behind for another Denmark corner. This is unbelievable. Schmeichel's forward again. Last minute and 10 seconds. Eriksson standing over it. It's too late for Denmark as Eriksson pings in the high cross. Cornelius back post onto the roof of the net. Australia survive. They're nearly there. Wow, Dean Ashton.
It's just never worked though, that deep corner, and Australia can breathe a big sigh of release. Cornelius just heading it over the top. No pressure. They've not headed one back all evening for Denmark from those deep crosses, and the manager Graham Arnold can't sit still.
Australia fans are bouncing. 30 seconds to go. France will finish as group winners. Australia, as things stand, will finish second. Cleared away by Matt Ryan high downfield. And stabbed forward by Barr straight out of play. And Australia throw in their left back position. They haven't played particularly well at all going forward. They got that goal through Matthew Leckie, an historic goal. And are they about to see it out? Bacchus trying to poke it through the middle. Aaron Moy is there. The full-time whistle's blown. What a night for football down under. The underdog story, the quest to reach the knockout stages has its happy ending. And Australia are into the last 16 of a World Cup for the first time since 2006, and just the second time in their history. They will never forget tonight. Matthew Leckie's winning goal on the hour mark at the Al Janoub Stadium in Doha, and all around Australia they will be celebrating long into the night. Graham Arnold is on the pitch. The qualifying campaign was an epic enough journey, but the journey goes on and Australia can continue to dream. Denmark are out. They finished with 1 point.